Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chimmer Chatter. This is episode 6. Before we start tonight, there's some things going on in the world. We are a show that does not hide our racial jokes. We are not afraid to use race in our comedy. But when things happen outside, we can't be so blasé as to imagine it won't affect what goes on here. And with so much race talk, it would be insincere to not address it. So Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd, just a quick second reflection on that. And of course, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna do what we do. But we do so much race talk that it just felt irresponsible to not address some of the things that are going on in the world. But this is a place where you can be sheltered from that. And tonight, my co-host and I, Josh Dway, Rashid Wesley Jr. We're on a tear now. This is our second guest, and ironically, it's the other half of the podcast. White Man Can't Bump. He also has a gaming podcast. You say the name of that gaming podcast, Martin?
Yeah, it's Up and Up. UPNUP.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody would believe something I was talking about was Up and Up. So I just figured I'd let you say it. But this is Chris William, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up? How's it going? All right, Josh. What was the question you asked earlier?
You're a hating motherfucker, man.
Yeah, we're a little inside baseball here. I don't know how this is set up in the Zoom, but if it's the white guys on the top and the black fellas on the bottom,
that's what it is for me.
Yeah. So I think, who do you have under you? Because I have Josh under me.
Oh, I have Josh under me.
Oh, we have to fight for who's going to be his mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, please take it.
We also mentor the other idiot, but he's in a mood. He's in a mood.
What? I literally didn't say shit.
That's how I know you're in a mood. That's how I know you're in a mood. You're passive aggressive because you come from improv comedy, and that's a different animal.
What? What? Oh yeah, because I can use my body for things. I'm sorry, I know that.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
That's
exactly what I heard.
What you using it to pay rent? What you using it for, Rashid?
Rashid's a dancer on the weekend.
I donated to your food fund, Josh. I only give like
oh my God.
I only give it like 10 cents a week, but it works.
Wasn't we moving on from those jokes like we said?
We're trying.
Right? Nope.
Trying to. Rashid's stuck in his ways.
Until you get a green card, I'm coming at you.
Chris, okay. If you think you probably already know, but basically the whole gist of this podcast, it's like the Comedy Cellar table, but without money or credits. So it's just anger is basically what it is. But we like each other, and we're friends after we're done bashing. Except for Rashid. I'm telling you, Rashid's going to a dark place.
Yeah.
Chris, they've made me this way. They have made me this way. I was a nice guy before this podcast. I loved everyone. I wanted to work with people. They have made me a bitter,
we've
angry
eroded him.
Fucker, bro.
Nice make fun of everything. We make fun of his hospital chair. We make fun of his secondhand curtains. We make fun of everything.
I was a nice guy, bro. I wanted to work with people.
Nice guy.
I was a nice guy.
There's nobody that'll say you were a nice guy.
Right.
I was a nice guy.
Bro,
you have an attitude.
I still see you as a woman, bro.
See, this is why. This is why, bro. This is the shit that I be talking about.
Listen, it's just Rashid, they're just teasing you what they're also sensitive about. Like Chimmer makes fun of your Huxtable chair because
I can get out of it.
Because his ergonomic one he wishes was a soft. But it's the only one that his collapsing spine can allow him to sit in for more than 5 minutes.
And that's why he's good at this, folks. That's why he's good. Because Rashid would have just said something stupid about how I wish I had a dad.
However, Rashid, I will say, Rashid, and I'm not trying to gang up on you right now, but you look like you're in a Motel 6. Like the curtains in that chair are straight out of a hotel room.
I know.
But it's okay because Josh looks like he stole Stevie Ziegler's bike. So
I thought Josh looked like he was in a French cafe waiting for his friends.
Yeah.
Look like you got that bike from GTA Jack the Ripper edition. Like,
I wish I could put in some old timey music in this.
Josh, is that bike functioning? Like, can you take it off the wall?
Can you get on that bike?
No, it's art. God dang. Man.
You know what? It won't break. You don't weigh nothing. It won't break.
You know that bike is functional. Every light in your house is a gas light. Like fuck that.
Josh weighs $135. You could ride a pit bull.
And mount it up like Falcor.
All right. Okay. No, you know you wouldn't have that. Pit bulls are for black people.
You know, the princess.
That's not true. White ladies love pit bulls too, Rashid.
That's true. That is
in
true.
Brooklyn,
They rescue them in bulk.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, put sweaters on them.
Did you know that the princess in Neverending Story is actually a young Steph Curry?
Yo.
And I can prove it. Talk amongst yourselves while I prove it.
That's
But
hilarious.
every time I think of like the Neverending Story, I can't help but get like I think about I think about Stranger Things now, like season 3. Like it's just stuck in my head now.
Yeah. Are you and Josh competing for who the whitest person on this podcast is?
I'm a well-rounded black person. I like everything.
Oh, okay.
I like everything. He just
Look at
hates black
that face on the kid.
Oh shit! Wait, Ida, what does the princess look? Yeah, I need to see the reference. Because I've actually never seen the Neverending Story. Yo. Yo.
Hey, she grew up pretty. Good for her.
Damn.
And that's just some of the technological innovations that Chris Chimmer is bringing to this podcast.
Yeah.
We know he's not bringing the jokes.
I was going to say, Chimmer,
favorite open micer.
In case anyone ever was questioning whether Chimmer or not is in his 40s or not, he just complimented a stranger on growing up pretty. So that can tell you where he's at about age-wise. Like, oh, good for her.
That's that
She
Joe
grew up
Biden
real nice looking.
So are you just assuming all pedophiles are at the age of 40 or what?
I mean, you can't, like, what do you mean? Under 40, you're also a kid still, right? Like,
I agree.
No.
I think you're just a kid till you're 40. Isn't that the way it is, Josh?
No, you're trying to just ease the blow of you being old as fuck.
Hey,
I know that 30
they
is
say
coming.
you act like if anything affected your life with a PTSD moment, they say that stunts your growth around that place. When I was 19, I got kicked out of school. So I'm 19 in my head.
Yeah.
Which is a very fair age. It means that I can't date young.
Yeah.
When you got kicked out of school at 19?
Yeah, they expelled me. I couldn't prove where I lived.
Wait, hold on. So you were behind enough that you could still get kicked out after most people would already have left.
I was 2 weeks away from graduation. Yeah, I lost years because when you move in foster care, sometimes their paperwork doesn't catch up. So I lost eligibility for sports. You had to stay later. And it was all right though. I mean, I'm very immature, so I didn't feel older than anyone.
Hold on, Rashid and Chris, sports is a form of exercise.
I know, Josh. So I played sports when I was in school. I didn't wrestle.
Me too. Yeah. The gayest sport.
You did an actual sport.
Yeah, I played football and baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, sports that you don't
I played baseball too.
For.
Oh my God, Rashid, you did improv, bro. Like I know you're not talking.
I also played basketball.
Yeah. Rashid did comedy sports.
Is your dad a coach?
Yeah, my dad's a coach.
And you're this effeminate. That's weird.
All right.
Well, I actually played basketball and baseball and football growing up. So I did all of those things.
It's an act of defiance, guys.
The bisexual, this is the act of defiance.
I just miss the fact that if you wanted, like today, if my kids wanted to play sports just like not on a team, it'd be almost impossible for them to get enough people around.
Yeah.
Because kids don't leave their house.
You just gotta be in a poor area.
Josh, you're doing the plastic thing and we can hear it.
That was the whitest that was like the oldest white guy sentence I've ever heard you say.
Hey, Josh, you're doing the plastic thing.
Nobody
He's gonna chew it if I don't say something now.
No, but Chimmer, you just gotta live in a poorer area and your kids could find people to play sports with.
I see kids all the time.
I was gonna say I see kids out playing like football and basketball all the time.
Where, smoking?
Yeah.
That's what I should have
I
done.
gotta. I've been
Instead of
meaning to go
taking
to
to this
Phoenix for a
really
while.
lily white neighborhood where there's no problems, no bullshit, should have taken to where I grew the fuck up.
Yeah,
And they'd have a
just
backbone. It won't be great. It won't be straight.
There's just a
Okay, Chris.
there's just a
West
handful of
Philly.
houses you guys could squat in and just get the true Shamokin experience.
Well, why do you want your kids to be homeless, Chimmer? Like you said, take them.
No, I want them to know how to fight.
Yeah.
I want them to grow up to enter an improv group.
See, but the thing is, then that means I can still be funny. I learned how to do that like a while ago.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a college course. I mean, they're really the teachers just teach you for the credit.
It wasn't
they're
a class, dickhead. See,
Oh
you
no!
might not
You
know.
wasted extracurricular time on that.
So, see, like,
You could have been on
improv-
an intramural basketball team, fool.
Right.
I did that too.
No,
I
you
did that.
didn't.
I did. We won the championship. Thanks.
Where's the shirt?
Yeah, where's the shirt? He's wearing it right now.
It's at my
That's the name of the team. Screamage.
maximum screen. See, here's a place that my wife is like proud to go to because my wife likes looking at my face and isn't ashamed of me. So I can leave my house and go to parks, and this is where I got the shirt.
That was a joke
Right.
that he wrote. We can
Yeah,
tell.
you could tell because it was long and didn't really.
No,
Right.
it wasn't written. It was improv, guys.
Wait, was that improv? Shit. You
That
got
joke
us.
Took us 30 minutes into the podcast.
Back scratcher.
You laugh like a house nigga. Did you know that? Like I just wanted to be like.
There you
laugh
go
like a
again.
house
Trying to
nigga.
separate us, man.
Oh
There you
my
go,
lord. Oh my
Yeah.
Jacob.
Josh
What did
laughs
you
like a
just
house
say?
nigga.
I gotta go.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
when you did that,
Now that you did that, now I'm sideways.
Nice.
Yeah.
I still got Josh. I still got Josh.
You do still have
below
Josh
me.
on mine too.
Oh yeah. I mean, Josh
Why do you get the
beats
funny
me,
one?
like everything else?
Why do you get the funny one?
Well, because
I'm sorry, Rashid.
it's grouped own race.
Nah, it's okay. I'm just gonna be really happy when you die in 5 years.
5 years?
Whoa, 5 years. Yeah, that's too much time.
That's generous.
Is that a, am I, what do you have me for on the Deadpool? Now that you know I'm 41, put an age on it.
All right,
I'm
really
giving
want
5.
you to live as long as you possibly can. But based on you still smoking the cigarettes and shit, bro, in the next hour, to be honest.
Chris, what you got?
Mark it down. I'll mark it down.
So here's the thing. I want to give two different numbers because I think
Okay.
if we're waiting for natural causes,
Mhm.
Chimmer's going to be around till he's like 64.
Okay.
Mm.
But self-infliction,
That's what
44.
For. Yeah, you got.
You
Yeah.
know what? If things go a little south, there's a that you got you. That's a solid pick, Chris. I'm gonna give you that's a solid pick. Here's what I
Dude.
think.
Wait, Chimmer,
I don't-
hold on.
Go ahead,
bro.
go ahead, Rashid. You have more thoughts.
What do you mean? You said like
Yeah,
you said
he need
go
more
south?
time as always.
Like, you mean go south? Your kids don't respect you. You can't walk. You can't leave your attic. How much south does it need to go? Like when are you gonna end
That's
it?
a valid point, and I think the haircut, the hair that I'm rocking here, kind of shows you where I'm at mentally. I've checked
Well,
out.
Rashid,
Like you got the Sugar Ray haircut, and it's kind of scary. Like I need you to.
I have
Rashid-
checked out. I'm done. I'm looking for a heroin dealer.
Oh my, you just given
Yeah.
up completely.
when
Josh,
Rashid
listen
tell
to
a
people
joke,
green
we
card.
need when Rashid
Listen to
tell a
people's
joke,
green
we need the
card.
SpongeBob man who'd be like, and 1 hour later. Like,
I love how that
Oh
kind of
my
sounded
God.
like your dad.
I was
too,
going to
by
say,
the
Josh,
way.
you could just get your dad to pop in and say it. It
Yeah,
would
that
be
kind of
pretty much
sounds
the
like
same
your
thing.
dad.
Producer note to Jose: if you can find a place to do that to one of Rashid's jokes, we might start paying you. I'm serious as a heart attack. If you can make that
Chimmer,
happen,
if he does
oh, I
that,
love it.
I'm gonna burn your house down and only warn your family. Like,
Oh, now see, now that's weird because it's a 10-year anniversary of my house catching fire.
yo,
How do you
bring it
feel
full
now?
circle.
Happy anniversary.
Happy.
You know, right. I
What
own
is
the
Rashid,
house.
how you gonna get
I
over
own the
there?
house we went to rent, so that worked out. But
Rashid, how you gonna get over there?
yeah, how you gonna get over here, son, bitch?
He'll call
I'll
someone
ask
to
one
give
of-
him a ride.
No, I'll ask one of the people who booed you in Delaware to give me a ride, and I'll tell them a joke.
See,
that they'll
now you're
actually laugh
mixing.
at.
Now you're mixing comedians.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah, because he got booed. I've never had the fortune to be.
I was
booed.
talking to him.
Oh,
I
but you're gonna
wasn't
burn my
talking to
house
you.
though. I thought you said you're gonna burn
Yes.
my house down.
Yes.
Okay, well
Well,
then.
Rashid,
Jesus Christ, dude, how old are you? Like, how confused can
No,
you
no, no.
get in a short amount of time?
You said you're gonna burn my house down, and then you said you were
No.
gonna use someone who booed Josh. Now we
Yes,
don't have
Josh,
we
because
don't we
Josh
don't
asked
intertwine
how I
like
would
that.
get
No,
there.
see, no judges.
You can fucked up,
Judges, hold
bro.
on. Let's get the judges.
Mm.
No, you suck. Judges say you suck. You suck. And once we figure out how to change your background, we're gonna have a bomb background, and you're gonna have to sit in it until you tell a good joke.
Wah, wah, wah.
So, Chimmer, are you in your attic? Or
This
is that
my
your
office
garage?
attic.
That's where he's
That's my
always in
attic.
his attic. That's where
It's my office. It's not even. I think there's a level above me. I'm on the second floor. I mean, they added this room on, and then this
Okay.
used to be 2 rooms. So
I'm
where I'm
not
standing
used-
right now was a wall.
I'm not used to exposed beams on the mid
Yeah, I
floor of
haven't-
the house.
I kind of ran out. I'll be honest. I ran out of gas.
Oh, okay.
I did all this by myself.
Yeah.
So I put the
I thought-
floors in and the walls.
I thought you definitely had to be in your garage because there's no way you were climbing stairs up to wherever you are.
But no, I do climb the stairs. Yeah, no,
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to get better. What is wrong with Rashid's?
I thought maybe you installed a dumbwaiter and had your kids like hoist you up.
You know what? What was that? Was it what was the little black kid's name? Webster.
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw a dumbwaiter, and I always wanted one. And when
Well,
we got
hey,
this house, I'd hope
Chimmer, they prefer the term African American.
Rashid, are you? What happened to Rashid?
He froze. It's okay.
No,
He'll be back.
No, you froze.
I'll type in something.
There we go.
You were typing
No.
something.
Yeah.
Can you do that in the middle of the show? I think that's good for your visuals. Thank you.
Josh did the same shit, bro.
Who
Yo,
did?
it's almost like you guys got to get something other than your phone to talk on, because you can I can sit here and type on my phone
Don't
and
you
nobody
both
has
have
a clue.
laptops? If you have laptops, why don't we ever utilize them?
My phone is always just handy. Like I'm right there. I'm ready to use that.
I'm starting to think you don't have a laptop.
Yeah.
I can go get it. You just
No, it's okay. You don't need to prove your worth to me. Your wife, probably, but not to me. Drink, yeah. Reach for the drink. That's right. That's right. There's your crutch.
You know,
There's
that's just filled an empty bottle that he filled with iced tea right
He
before
did put
recording.
These motherfuckers they drive me to drinking. Oh, he's got that
Bro,
sour.
y'all,
Yeah.
I keep testing Rasheed, man, but I can't even get the joke. I'm sorry. That's like
It's okay. Take 2, man. Clean
Yeah,
slate. Ready?
try again.
Everybody, back to
You're not
position.
accustomed to improv. Here we go.
Hey, go ahead again, Josh. From the top.
I can't because
We're still
I'll
rolling.
struggle with that sentence again.
We're still rolling. We got tape. Come on.
Bro, all I see is Rasheed face in the bottom screen. I'm like, oh, this man about to kill himself right here on camera. Like,
I don't think
Kill you,
I don't
maybe.
think he give us
Kill
the
you,
satisfaction. I don't think he give us the satisfaction.
Yeah, he'd live just to spite you, Josh.
Oh, speaking of which, to put a close on that, I think I'm going to live to be 89, and I feel like I'm going to be a Randy 89. Like I'm going to be running around the nursing home. My wife will long be dead by then, probably. I'm just going to run around the nursing home grabbing ass.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Like George
Truth
Bush.
is, I'm probably going to get hit by a car tomorrow. And this
yo,
is
that
a
Dave
tutorial
Chappelle
episode.
shit.
Now Rashid's being all standoffish. Get back in the game.
You were talking, dickhead. I was letting you
I
finish.
never stopped you
Damn.
before.
Wow.
That's never stopped you before, Rashid.
Well, the issue is Sheed is the only one of the 3 of you that actually tried listening to the show back and realized how unlistenable it is when you're all just shouting over each other.
That's ridiculous. This is an innovative podcast.
Preposterous.
Us talking over each other. Go ahead,
This
Josh.
Dog,
Give
you're-
us that
you're-
sentence.
locker room talk.
Timmer, you're a caveman. A light switch is innovative. Like
That's you know what? When you're right, Rashid. I'm telling you.
You know,
I gotta
what?
try and build.
forgot what was
I gotta
wrong
try and
right
build
now.
back his. Let's build back his confidence. He looks like a broken man right now.
I realized what's wrong with
I
this
would- I
podcast
would-
right now.
I would have to care
Chris
about
is giving
either one of
Rasheed
you.
too much fake laughter.
I would have to be like I would have to care about what either one of you say to be broken.
Oh,
I
you
would-
care. Oh,
I would have to.
you
so hold on,
care.
wait, hold on. I
You and
would
Josh
have
have been
to
fighting
care-
all day. You definitely care.
I would have to care about what an extra from Hotel Rwanda has to think about me to ever like be broken by you. Like I would
Oh,
have to
that's-
care.
Hotel
Speaking-
Rwanda.
I
I had him doing Captain Phillips, but he did Hotel Rwanda. I think it's really,
I would have to care
Chimmer.
about a kid who has a pocket full of blood diamonds
I
to
was
like
just gonna.
really think about anything.
Welcome to the show, Chris. I've heard this. I wish I didn't hear this before, but I've heard the blood diamond thing a lot.
Because it makes me laugh because your dad is still looking for you with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, he's still searching. Like, find him. Like, please.
Come on. He knows Leonardo DiCaprio, but yeah, he's the black one. Come on. That's just
And again,
but Josh,
you're yelling
Josh,
at Josh, but I'm talking. I'm the one talking, and you're yelling at Josh.
Josh, what's Leonardo DiCaprio's astrological sign?
Yeah, he would.
Leo.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Oh, sit in that for a minute.
What? How bad that joke was? If it was a joke?
Yeah. See, this is that shit that got you booed in Delaware, bro. You gotta chill. You gotta stop.
You know, okay, hold on. Has anyone else been booed?
Oh, Josh, I'm sorry to tell you, but your white lady card got revoked. He's a Scorpio. And you would know that if you paid any attention to his aura.
His aura.
Josh, well, you gotta give people the story that goes with this insult that he keeps throwing at you about getting booed in Delaware. Just give the story.
Look, man, it was just, bro, they booed the host too, you know? Like, it was just a shit show, bro. I knew it was going to be bad because they fucking, first of all, they had a dance party beforehand. It was one of those dance parties for, like, this old wedding anniversary, all older black folks. And it was, like, dinner in the middle of stand-up comedy. And they fucking booed the host. Then the host pulled me up to kind of save that shit, booed me. The show running, and everybody was just getting booed. Except for the only white guy there.
I don't know. I heard Lamar Todd didn't get booed and he shitted on you backstage. So,
like, first of all, Lamar Todd.
Who's Lamar Todd?
He's a Philly comedian. Well,
is that LL Cool J's name?
The Judges?
His last name is Todd.
Judges?
I know it for a fact.
Chris. Judges? I'll let you be the judge on that.
I don't know if you're allowed to talk to the. I don't know if. Hold on a second. I don't know if you're allowed to talk to the judges.
No. Chris. Shut up. You bought feel it. Sit in it.
I'm not sure if you can steal my bit.
Feel it. I know you can't feel anything else from the waist down, but feel that. Like, feel that burn.
Oh, come on, guy. You know better than that. Who's you?
Can't feel anything else.
Makes my dick work.
First off, we're not sponsored. Stop giving them free exposure.
To the 8 people that are going to watch this.
We're just not going to talk about the Dave Chappelle shit, or
yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. Did you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about that first or Jimmy Fallon?
No, because the Jimmy Fallon thing going to be a much longer conversation.
Okay, so from what this is going to be a great segment for the thing. Black stuff that I'm trying to understand. Okay, so a girl named Azealia, like the flower, Azealia Banks, who is a rapper of sorts.
Yeah.
Call her second tier behind that Minaj and Cardi B people. Like she's second.
She's not even that.
I would say she's second tier purely because of how much controversy she constantly is finding herself in.
That's big on Twitter, correct?
That's a compliment, bro.
She likes to bash folks on Twitter.
She likes to bash folks on Twitter and to come out with like problematic quote unquote opinions.
Yeah. And today, Rashid, you said, what did she do?
So that was yesterday. Apparently, she was like going on this Instagram rant where she was like, "Oh, I know." Well, one, she had already thrown shots at Nicki and Cardi, but then she was like, "Oh, I keep a lot of secrets for a lot of powerful men. Like, I fucked a lot of powerful men. Like, I should really ruin y'all marriages. Like Dave Chappelle, I should really ruin your fucking marriage because we fucked." And you're like, "But you got some good dick." Like, so, like, I'm just, nobody believe. Like, I'm trying to figure out why people believe her. Like, there's
like Gemini, bro. It's bound to happen.
There's like a weird Twitter fan that really believes her, bro. No, Gemini, because she is clinically bipolar. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Here you go with that zodiac shit. Like,
I too am bipolar. Bipolar 1, as a matter of fact.
Well, are you running around saying that people fuck Dave Chappelle that didn't fuck Dave Chappelle? Are you saying that you fuck Dave Chappelle?
Can you see how big Busta Rhymes is now? Jesus Christ. Did he eat the rest of the Flip Mode squad?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
God. All right, so she's fighting with everybody, huh?
Yeah, she had a weird thing like about Beyonce and Cardi and Nicki, and Elon Musk and Grimes. Like, she got into a beef with Elon Musk, bro.
Is it an insult to call somebody a regular bitch?
She quite literally, though, does this like yearly. Like every single year, Azealia Banks has some sort of significant drama that puts her in the limelight, and then she goes to being forgotten again.
Yeah, for like 2 days.
And then a year later, there's more drama.
Yeah. I think like last year was something like the chicken thing, like the Santeria chicken thing.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, they got her matched up against everybody.
Dog, she really will literally argue and fight against it. Like, and it's people who had said nothing to her. She just goes on Instagram or Twitter and just starts talking shit about a random celebrity.
Yeah.
Who's this little girl?
Last year, she was like...
She was on Nickelodeon. That girl is Sky Jackson. She's a fucking Nickelodeon star.
That's how picking on that girl, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last year her like thing was she was attacking like culture vultures. Like she was targeting artists who were like essentially doing like what people consider like modern blackface sort of stuff, like Iggy Azalea and Ariana Grande. Iggy Azalea and Ariana Grande were like the two big she like railed against.
She called Lizzo a modern day mammy.
Yeah.
She called her a mammy.
Yeah. I'm not even black, and that stings a little.
But honestly, all right, on a weird way, I kind of like could see where she was coming from on that one. Like, I kind of agreed a little bit. But like, I'm like, dog, first off, as a black person to another black person, that shit that you keep in the community. Like, you don't put that shit online. Like, that shit that we talk about amongst ourselves. Like,
so Chappelle, who spends legit 70% of his time in Ohio, far away from the lights and everything, is
70. That's generous.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's so the times that he's not home, he's blowing out backs. Is that the idea?
I mean, I don't.
Joshua, is that the idea? Oh, hello.
I'm sorry. I'm
sorry. Hello. He hasn't been paying attention.
I love it. It's like he was in class. Josh, you want to add anything to the conversation? How do you know what we're talking about? What do you think? What do you think realistically? Do you think Chappelle is throwing dick around when he's not at home?
No, I don't think he's
too
like
much
that.
to lose, right? But then the Kevin Hart thing.
But like, not only that, but like, dog, you're Dave Chappelle. If you really wanted to cheat on your wife, you're fucking Iggy. You're fucking not even Iggy. Iggy, I could understand. Iggy, if you've seen Iggy Azalea, I could understand that one. But like Azealia Banks, you are fucking Mark Twain award winning, Chappelle Show co-creating, like culture blazing Dave Chappelle, legendary status solidified already, and you're fucking Azealia Banks.
Yeah, I mean, like more famous dudes have like had illicit affairs with less attractive people though. Like when you reach
comes to mind.
Yeah, when you reach a certain level, there's just not it's not like you're only like trolling for the hottest thing, you're just trolling for anything. Like
I'm gonna be real though. I've seen old pictures of Monica Lewinsky. I'd put Monica Lewinsky over Azealia Banks. We're gonna be honest.
Well, but I think
as a white man, you're not alone.
I think that's probably a bit of like context though too. Like Azealia Banks is like gross because of who she is and like the way she acts, and not like necessarily like aesthetically displeasing. Like she's just like a toxic person.
I don't know if you saw that video, bro. I was like legit freaked out looking at her. Like her eyes were huge. Like she was like, it wasn't like dilated pupil. Like her eyes.
I don't want to startle you, Rashid, but there's this thing called editing software, and I think those images may have been doctored.
No, I saw the filter that she used, and the only filter that she used was like the one that changes your hair color. Like everything else was normal. Like I know that filter. I've seen it. And so her face is just literally like that. Like her face is just weird.
But she just has like a history of doing like back in 2015, wasn't it? When she called Charlemagne an Uncle Tom.
Oh, I remember that.
Like she's
and I think 2016 is when she got into a fight with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one good thing on Google about her.
She's a trash person.
She's grasping
look that up.
She's kind of just grasping at fame through infamy. Like she's trying to get people to know, to like, she's recognition by any means necessary sort of thing.
And the thing she said in the video, she was like, "Why am I holding y'all secrets? Because when I get attacked by the media, none of y'all come to my rescue." And I'm like, first off, bitch, it's 2020. You're a grown ass woman. Why should we come to your rescue? And two, look at the shit that you say. Why would anybody want to help you?
Well, wasn't 2014 when she was like, T.I. assaulted me, and then T.I. was like, I don't know who she is, and I'm not just saying that.
Yeah, real shit. He's like, I've never met her before. I don't even know. Yeah.
Bro, Russell Crowe had a different type of hate for this bitch, bro. He spat on it, bro. Like,
no, that's a white people thing, dude. Like that's what white people do. That's like the lowest of the low. Like things that make white people mad is like using the word cunt and then spitting is like right above that.
Yeah. Wait, spitting is above cunt?
Yeah, spitting is the only thing above.
Have you not seen the Montreal job, or whatever they called it, with Bret Hart? Spit a loogie right on Vince McMahon's face.
Oh, that thing hurts me every time I think about it. The Montreal screw job. Fuck.
Screw job, that's what it's called.
That shit hurts me every time I think about it.
Vince McMahon screw job?
Yeah, the Montreal.
Montreal, yeah, wasn't it?
Basically, Bret Hart's leaving for the WCW, and he's supposed to give up his belt. He doesn't want to give up his belt, and Shawn Michaels puts him in the sharpshooter, and they ring the bell right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like that's how. So
like immediately, he locked it in.
Then he spit in his face, and then later on, he went back to the dressing room.
He knocked him the fuck out.
Knocked him the fuck out. There's video of him coming down the hall all staggered. It looks like me.
Bret Hart knocked him out?
Yeah,
bro. Yo, Bret Hart was a bad man out of the ring. Like he was for real.
Yeah, all of the Harts were.
Yeah,
that
they
whole
were for
family,
real,
man.
bro.
They used to talk about the new prospects would come to the basement, an 80-something-year-old head of the family Hart would put him in a fucking lock and almost break the guy's arm. He's still strong as shit. He's still a monster.
Yeah,
that family, so tragic.
The Harts and the Guerreros.
Yeah,
the
Guerreros, they do that.
Yeah, man. There's not many of them left now.
I never got behind Chavo though. I couldn't.
Oh, really?
I couldn't really.
That's the young one, right?
Chavo was Eddie's brother. Yeah,
I could never get behind Chavo. Like I tried, but.
Have we all watched the Outside the Ring David Benoit?
Chris Benoit.
You got
David Benoit's his artsy brother. Stayed in Toronto.
I haven't watched any of those wrestling.
Really intense. You'd really appreciate them. Yeah, they're really well done.
The Chris Benoit story is really intriguing. I mean, one of the dude's special moves was the flying headbutt. So like CTE was inevitable.
Was a fit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They said in that doc that when Eddie Guerrero died,
it fucked him up.
Chris Benoit would go to his house and lay in his bed.
Yeah.
On his side of the bed and cry.
They were best friends.
I've got a lot of best friends. And I appreciate most of them, but I don't know if I'm going to their bedroom and laying down in their bed because I'm sad.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to see like that the Chris.
No, you have to share with the group.
I remember when it happened, and it's so fucking sad every time I think about it, dude.
I'm still watching the Montreal screw job, and it showed. Yeah,
he put him in the sharpshooter and they rung the bell immediately.
Yeah. Well, they said it's split camps. It's split camps on whether or not everybody was in on it. Hart included, or if it was an actual screw job.
No, it was an actual screw job. It reminds me of the Mick Foley situation that happened later with The Rock.
Run through that.
So Mick Foley was restrained, and The Rock was supposed to hit him over the head with a chair, but he didn't tell him how many times. Like he thought it was just one hit, and he ended up actually hitting him like 27 times.
Yeah, apparently, like I think, I think Mick said it was. He was like, I told him 5.
Yeah,
he's like, I told him 5 times, but like, so I think something like Mick never went down. He was supposed to go down, and he didn't go down.
Yeah, he didn't go down after 5, so he kept hitting him, and like it got to the point where like Mick Foley's family, like the audience, like the cameraman is cutting in on his like wife and kids, and they're like genuinely crying because they know that this is going further than it was supposed to.
Yeah,
And
like they left the arena.
Mick
Josh,
Foley
you're a wrestler.
Mick Foley still cites it as like the only time he was ever like upset at something that happened in the ring.
You should have been
And
said
he's
a
still
lot
like
more
and he's
times.
still
They
like
did a lot. Man, they did so much shit to him. Josh, you are a wrestler. And I don't know if all wrestlers think that the next step is UFC or WWE, but did you consider either of those things or just all comedy?
No, I knew comedy was what I was going to do, but I did think I was going to at least finish out my college career before I had to do comedy.
Yeah, why didn't you wrestle at Lyco?
I did for my freshman year, but then like I had this knee injury where, long story short, a kid was trying to inside trip me, and I was like resisting it, and I never went down, but he kept pulling the whole time, and especially after the whistle. And then I was like, oh shit, I can't fucking walk on my fucking leg, and it got blew up, and so I tore my LCL and my meniscus.
And we beat that kid's
ass. Well, I was already whooping his ass all practice, so I didn't really care. He was a kid.
Wait, hold on. This was in practice. This was in practice.
Yeah, but how can I put it? Like, I didn't say nothing because it was just like, wrestling's like a thing of will. You know what I'm saying? So there's times when you're in positions where you know, like, your fucking arm is going to break or something like that. But like, you be so in tune to it, you be like, I'm not backing down. So like, I knew if I didn't move my leg, like something was going to happen. But it was just more like I need to out me right now. And unfortunately,
that's that
how'd you do your freshman year?
shit again.
How'd you do your freshman year?
That's when I got hurt, but I was doing good. I was 8-0 till I got.
Is that right?
Up, so.
Well, no, I know from high school
33.
you were real talented at it. So you never thought about UFC, or maybe somebody you wrestled against is now in the UFC, or trying to be in that world?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. Like my heavyweight from my school is about to do UFC. One of my training partners from my past school, the school I went to before I went to Derby, he's doing UFC. And then a kid that we used to compete against, he's actually in, I think, the Contender Series right now, Joe Body Bags Piper.
I loved fighting, but I don't know if I would train for it.
Yeah, same. I fought a ton in high school, but I couldn't do it professionally.
Yeah, I go to a gym to get ready to fight.
Chimmer, if you was gonna fight somebody, you should have beat your dad's ass because he treated you like a cold bitch.
Like, he had a dad to treat him like a bitch.
Yeah, he'd have to find him to beat him.
Yeah.
No, his stepdad.
My name is Sue. Stepdad. How did you do?
Did you hear this story, Chris?
What's that?
William, did you ever hear this story?
I don't think so.
Which one? No, I had to have you edit. No, hold on. I had to have you edit that out the last time. You can't tell that story every episode.
It's fucking good.
No, they're all still alive. Just let's hold back on that story. I had to have those. They cut it out of the last one.
Oh my God!
Needless to say, I had a colorful childhood. I will leave it at that. Moving on to Jimmy Fallon and his sins.
This is a real conversation. This is.
Can you do an impression fully as a white person? This is gonna sound. I'm just putting it out there. This is not what I think. But can you do an impression fully without going blackface? In this situation, Chris Rock. And Jimmy Fallon does a good Chris Rock.
We got to backtrack because I don't know if everybody even knows exactly what the fuck happened.
So 2000,
this is so insane.
When he's at SNL, he's known for one of his impressions is Chris Rock. He does the fingers. He's got the voice. He does a quality job. That's what he's known for. For some reason, I don't blame Jimmy Fallon. I don't see how you can blame Jimmy Fallon. This is just like Shane Gillis. Do your due diligence, and we don't have an incident. Somebody in Lord's camp's got to go, no, blackface is bad.
But on top of that, though, so long story short, people somehow on Twitter today found out about a sketch that he did 20 years ago.
I remember
where
the sketch.
We did blackface as Chris Rock. But my thing is, it's like, number one, okay, even if you wanted to get mad at Jimmy, you know Jimmy probably wasn't the one who wrote that sketch either.
First of all,
he was.
Stop calling him Jimmy. Stop calling him Jimmy. You don't know him. It's just like the Shane Gillis thing all over.
I guarantee. I would put money on Jimmy Fallon wrote that sketch. Let me see.
Yeah,
with other people. With other people, definitely though.
I put money on Chris Rock gave him the okay. Like Chris Rock
He
is
did.
always.
Oh, but I don't know about if he gave the okay on the blackface. I think he
Well,
gave the
yeah.
okay to do the impression. I think he gave
I
the okay
think
to dress up in a suit. I don't think he said, "Hey, and if you could, maybe burn down some charcoal and do your face up proper." No, I don't think he said that. So.
I need to see
I
this
mean,
skit too.
it was a good sketch, but like the biggest thing is though, like, can you get mad at something that somebody did 20 years ago on national television? It wasn't like he hid it. It wasn't like it was like a hidden picture from a Halloween party that just got leaked or some shit. Like he did it on live national television, and you want to be mad about it 20 years after the fact? Because that makes sense.
I think you should be mad at everything. Like you should be mad at Jimmy. You should be mad at SNL. You should be mad at everything that allowed it to happen.
Right.
Like
but
when
canceling for it though.
Right. Well, no, but like the same reason, like the stuff that happened with Sarah Silverman, like she didn't get canceled over, just like people thought poorly of her for a little while.
Not for nothing. That's a decent tan.
Right.
Well, so here's my opinion, right? My opinion as a white person is there are plenty of other famous white people that Jimmy Fallon can impersonate really well. Why did this sketch have to be Chris Rock?
That's true.
Like,
that
why did it have to be? And were there no black cast members who could have tried it? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, I don't know. Actually, I think back at that point, I don't think there was any black cast members. Like, not even Finesse.
But Chris, to also like piggyback off your point, bro. If you hear the jokes that Jimmy Fallon was even saying, it was like, "Oh, I'm Chris Rock." Like he really thought, because it was like, "Wow, black people!" Like he was doing, you know, kind of calling black people out like material. He's just like, "Damn, the balls on this kid."
I mean, to be fair though, that was Chris Rock's material too.
yeah,
So,
like he was using
Chris
someone's.
Rock.
But like the thing is also too is like the impression is not like the impression is the voice and the mannerisms. It is not the skin color. Like if Jimmy Fallon were to pop up on YouTube right now and do a Chris Rock impression, you would still know it was Chris Rock even with his pasty ass skin.
Right.
Like there would be no question in your mind that it was Chris Rock. So where I actually forgive the Sarah Silverman blackface more is that is intentionally over the top for the purpose of making a point.
Right.
Whereas,
this was just like trying to be a joke that wasn't funny.
Which like in my opinion, when it comes to doing things that could be perceived as racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever in comedy, the question becomes the only time it is inoffensive is if it's integral to the joke and the joke is funny. And Jimmy Fallon being in blackface is not integral to that joke.
I don't understand why people keep doing blackface. When Ted Danson went to the roast of Whoopi Goldberg, his girlfriend at the time, in blackface, he got murdered. And this was before PC.
Mm-hmm.
This was before anyone who had a big voice about shit like that. So you got to know from the jump, it's not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. If you can't find a way to do the joke without the blackface, and the joke doesn't need to be said.
I mean, my thing is
Tracy Morgan was an SNL cast member at this time, also. By the way, guys, like
he's unruly. He's unruly. I don't know if he would have done a good in Chris Rock.
I mean,
so do we hold those guys accountable that was there and watched this shit?
I think it's amazing that Moore catches nothing.
I think it's the institution as a whole, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I was about to say, like, Chris, like, if you're gonna be mad about it, then be mad about the whole thing. Like my thing is, like, I just hate the fact that, like, okay, yes, it is okay to be upset by it. Absolutely, you have every right to be upset by it. You have every right to want someone to be held accountable for it. But like this whole canceling thing, I'm like, okay, like let's slow down here. You want him to lose his job now for something he did 20 years ago. They
also had Jerry Minor on the cast as well at that time.
Jerry Minor could have done it.
Jerry Minor absolutely could have done it. He would have been able to do it really well too, in my opinion.
This has gone on for as long as they've been around. There's always been a disparity of black cast members, and when they get them, they underuse them.
For a show that takes place in New York City.
Yeah, where you just throw a rock and find a black person.
Well, Chris Rock was a writer though. Like he wasn't on screen.
Well, they wanted him on screen because they kept trying to put him out and do like hyper political racial stuff. They had him in like a dashiki and shit.
Yeah.
Wait, because this was after.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right, so like it's this argument though, right? Comedy is an art of the actual time period, right? So in the time when he did it, it was allowed in 2000 or whatever, because there wasn't an uproar back then. Bro, it wasn't an uproar back then though. Like that's what
it wasn't as bad, but it was still bad.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Looking at it now, it's terrible. It's really bad. But do we give comedians a pass? I'm taking this above the blackface now. Just a pass on jokes that they make because comedy is an art of the times. Like
I said this when Shane got fired, and she gave me shit. But if it's for funny, do whatever the fuck you want. Do whatever makes the joke work. But I don't think blackface is like its own little animal. I think you got to put blackface stuff and like real racial stuff to the side because it's like what 4% of comedy. Maybe.
What makes Robert Downey Jr. okay? Because I think Robert Downey Jr. he did.
So here's the thing though, right? This goes back to what I said earlier. Is it integral to that character, right? So Jimmy Fallon's impression of Chris Rock is great without it being blackface. It's a voice, it's hand gestures, it's behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, that character's story, it is integral that character is in blackface. Like that is necessary for the comedy of that character and that story, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like they wrote that into it. The same goes for the Sarah Silverman bit where she was in blackface. Like it was integral to that story that she was wearing, especially that style of blackface, like the
over the top,
the over the top, the
the
vaudevillian blackface, right? Like, so like that stuff gets a pass for that reason because it was integral to the story of the joke. Whereas Jimmy Fallon does not have to be in brownface or blackface, whatever you want to call it, to do his Chris Rock impression. Like you watch his late night show now and he does impressions of other African American celebrities without painting himself up. So it's not necessary. And especially in a situation where this is a rare circumstance where they had a job they could have given to an African-American cast member and they didn't. Even if you do like, imagine how funny this sketch would be if they put one of their African-American cast members out there in the seat and then he's lip syncing to whatever Jimmy Fallon is saying off stage. That would have been a million times funnier.
Actually, I was thinking the same thing. Like if they got Tracy Morgan to do it, but then like he's doing the voice, that would have been funny.
Yeah, you keep forgetting how undependable Tracy Morgan was. Well, he did not do what he was told.
Yeah, but even Jerry Minor could have done that. Then.
Yeah,
like you could have put Jerry Minor in that role and put him in a leather jacket and had him be Chris Rock, but Jimmy Fallon is the one off stage feeding those lines. Like he's the one saying he's the one whose mic is live.
I think it's weird. It's weird, like as a Generation Zer or Xer or whatever the fuck I am. We saw Soul Man, which was C. Thomas Howell, the whitest person you could find, in blackface to go to college, and it was 2 hours long, and we digested the whole thing. Nobody rioted. I don't know if maybe you give artists too much credit, especially actors and actresses. Like we took it as if it was a genuine attempt at making a point back then.
My thing is like when it comes to shit like this, like like what Josh was saying, like, oh, do we give comedians a pass like what they did with like the Shane Gillis thing? My thing is like when it comes to the shit that you do as a comedian, you know what's fucked up and what's not. Like, so there comes a point where you have to think like, all right, bro, like fuck the PC shit. Like fuck the PC shit. I shouldn't say something like this because it's a shitty thing to say. Or it's a shitty thing to do.
Well,
like,
and
as a person, you should know that.
Like Chimmer, the thing is here with this is Soul Man came out in what 1986.
86, yeah.
And
I
even
forgot
then,
about Dan Aykroyd.
but even then, it was a low budget
yeah,
movie.
we watched it like it was like a real attempt at art.
Yeah.
I forgot about Dan Aykroyd. Did anyone? Is it because he's on the Mount Rushmore of comedians that we forget? Are we trying to forget that he
Hold on, is
played?
Dan Aykroyd on the Mount Rushmore of comedians?
Yeah, right.
Fucking
No.
right, he is.
Yeah, he
No,
definitely
not.
is.
Yes, he
No,
definitely
he's not.
is.
Especially
I don't know about
comedy
comedians.
writers. Like,
I was about to say
come on.
comedy
Yes.
writers. Comedy writers probably, but I was about to say comedians and comedy writers. For me, that's two different things.
Yeah,
Dan Aykroyd is
right.
absolutely on the Mount Rushmore.
yeah.
And
I-
right
Let me
there
ask
next
y'all
to
a question.
Jim
Comedy
Belushi.
writers probably.
See, let me ask y'all a question because this is something that always like fucking get on my nerves.
Okay.
What do the new school have to do to surpass the old school? Because y'all will
Some have
say
already
that
done it.
he's
Some of them have done it. Some of them have already done it. Dave Chappelle did it on
no.
stand-up. He passed
So we're talking
all
about
of his
comedy
predecessors.
writers.
Well, he passed all his predecessors. That's what you're saying. Is anybody from like the younger generation overcome an older generation to take their spot? Kind of like
Dave
LeBron and
Chappelle-
MJ type of deal.
well,
Yeah, but Dave Chappelle's the only one y'all give that to.
well, that's
Okay.
not true. If you would have came to white people 3 years ago, we would have said Louis C.K.
And Billy Burr.
Yeah, I mean, I would put Bill Burr on that absolutely. And you
Which
know,
Over Carlin?
no, Carlin's. So like
You're
the
looking for us to pass people?
comedy Mount Rushmore
Mhm,
right now is like Carlin, Pryor.
Chappelle.
I don't
Fucking
know.
Murphy.
Yeah, I would put.
Well,
I think Eddie Murphy would be the fourth one. I think it would be Carlin, Pryor, Murphy.
I think you got to put Seinfeld up there.
Oh, what?
Nah,
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Do you know anyone else that owns 9,000 Porsches because of their stand-up? And you got to put Jay
he
Leno
doesn't
up
own.
there.
Jay
He
Leno-
doesn't
I'm
own
gonna say Jay
9,000
Leno.
Porsches because of his stand-up. He owns it because his
my
show's been
God.
syndicated for 2 decades.
And his show is based
Okay.
on, and he never stopped touring. So no, comedy's a big part of what Jerry Seinfeld does.
Hold on,
Jay
Everyone-
Leno you can put up there.
We should go in a
If you really
circle
wanna-
and everybody say your Mount Rushmore. We should hear this. Everybody say your Mount Rushmore because y'all are tripping.
All right, that's good. Yeah, let's do this. This will be fun.
Go ahead. Start off with you, Chimmer, because you're the oldest. he's about to
This
pass
is the
away.
oldest. All right, let's see. Let's see. Who do I pluck from the SNL lineup?
This shit about to sound drunk. No, not
Yeah,
SNL. Just
Yeah,
straight
no,
comedian.
these are my comic forces that belong up on the Mount Rushmore.
No, are we talking
Uh,
stand up or are we just talking like comedy?
I think I'm just talking comedy.
Oh, I was gonna do
Okay.
stand up.
Yeah, we should do
I'm just
stand up
talking
and then
comedy.
we'll go to
You
comedy.
want to do stand up? We can do
Yeah,
stand up.
That's
All right,
easy.
so stand up. You got. Well, there's only 4 people on Mount Rushmore. Is that how we're doing it?
Yeah.
Yo, this shit about to sound drunk. I already know it.
Oh, this is about to be hard.
This shit about to
Go
sound drunk as fucking crazy. Watch this shit. Geraldo.
Okay, I'll go Pryor, Chappelle, Burr.
Ooh. No.
I want to put it's mine, right? Greg
Yeah.
Giraldo.
Mhm.
Greg Giraldo.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. Yeah, what you got?
Mine would be Lenny Bruce.
Okay. That's an OG pick. Nice.
Lenny Bruce, Eddie Izzard,
Oh, I love Eddie Izzard.
Ooh.
Richard Pryor,
Okay.
and trying to think who I would want to. Trying to think of who I want to make my fourth. I mean, if I'm putting a new person in on the fourth one, I'd probably say John Mulaney.
Ladies.
But then yeah, I think I feel like I like that 4.
Yeah, that's a strong 4.
I just
there's people that belong
for-
up there that you just can't put up there.
for me it's
Tig
like
Notaro.
it's like the 4 most influential to comedy as a whole.
Right.
And I think those 4 people have kind of changed the course of comedy throughout its history.
Weird,
Okay.
weird that you went Bruce and not Carlin. I mean, not weird, but I can
anybody who's familiar with me knows that I am not a fan of Carlin.
Is that right? Okay.
I think he's an excellent writer. I think he's an okay comedian, and I think that his writing makes him seem like a better comedian. If you
I'd agree with that.
If you pay attention to his like mechanics of comedy and stuff, he is so like scripted. What he'll do is when he hits a punchline, if the audience laughs for a long time, he continuously repeats the punchline, and it's so he doesn't lose his place to move on in the next joke.
Yeah,
so it's so scripted that it kind of like for me, comedy is as much about the experience of that as it is like the material you're presenting. And if I feel like I'm not getting a unique experience, it kind of takes me out of it a little bit. And with George Carlin, I feel like you don't get like, I never got to see him live, of course, but I feel like if I lived in that era, you would have never gotten a unique experience from him.
Right.
It would have been the same anywhere
like
you saw him.
One show is the same. Yeah, one show is the same as the next.
He's definitely methodical. He's definitely scripted. After we're done with this, I'd love to do a now New York comedy.
Yeah.
Before we begin.
Go ahead, Rashid.
All right, for me, Pryor, Bernie.
Bernie just missed the cut on my list.
Bernie?
That's
Bernie
Mac.
Mac.
I'll put Bernie.
Bernie is a good one.
Yeah.
We'll put Bernie. Dave.
Short little history on him though.
But dude, like everything he did shook a room, bro. Like,
yeah, no, I'm with you.
How do you have a joke? How can you write a set and every joke is a room shaker? Like, that's insane.
Well, also too, like his history really wasn't all that short. He just was like a famous comedian after he got famous for other things.
Yeah, I mean, I know all about Chicago and doing it on the L train.
Yeah. Well, because his daughter was like the only thing that held him back was that people didn't notice him until he had gotten older. Mm-hmm. But like he had been this good the whole time. But like people noticed DL first. People noticed Cedric first. People noticed Steve first. So like so he popped later, but he was just as good the entire time. So
what you got?
So I got Pryor, Bernie, Dave Chappelle, and for that fourth, man, that's a hard one.
I want to change my fourth.
I'm actually gonna go Chris Rock.
Wow.
I'm gonna take Greg Girardo out very hesitantly and throw Colin Quinn in his place because I don't know why, but Colin Quinn's name he's my favorite comedian probably of all time, but his name never comes to my head right away when we're talking about stuff like this.
If it doesn't, then City. If it doesn't,
no, he deserves to be there, but he did.
Well, he's a comedian. He's a comedian's comedian, though. He's like Andy Kindler. Like
yes.
Like he's not going to be like a household name. Like when anybody thinks of comedy, they're not going to think of him. But when you look at like his career and what he's done, like his
and none of us said
jokes and
tell.
stuff.
None of us said a tell.
Yeah, well,
he's good, but I wouldn't put him on my
list.
But you got to remember there was a period of time when everybody sounded exactly like him.
Well, I think if you're putting a tell on one though, he can't be on I was thinking of like mainstream. He would be on like the like alt comedy. Yeah. Like his isn't in North Dakota. His is in like Bismarck, South Dakota, and it's called like the little comedy Mount Rushmore. And it's like at eye level on the road.
Right.
Like it's not like a
driving by.
Like that sort of thing.
It's along the interstate. Like you drive past and it's like, oh, there it is.
Josh is about to shake us to our very core. Go ahead, Josh. What do you got?
Pryor's number one. I'm already calling it for him.
Yeah, so it is Pryor. So thank you.
Yeah, Pryor's number one easy.
Yeah. Pryor, Eddie Murphy.
Shit. Yo, I missed.
Just on specials alone, you put him up there.
But it was hard for me to put him on there because like he only had 2 specials, so I felt weird about it.
Yeah, 2 fucking mind-blowing,
They were amazing. No, they were amazing. Like I can't take anything back from that.
Have you watched them recently though?
They don't hold up.
Yes. I think they look great. I still crack up.
They did not age well.
No, to hear fag thrown around so carelessly.
So easily. Although that Stevie Wonder joke never gets old.
We're sensitive to that now. We weren't then.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think, in my opinion, what's even more egregious than how much he says faggot is to find out that a couple years later he was caught with a transsexual.
I remember that.
So it's like, oh, okay, you're just like every other pastor in the South. Like you're railing against something that you secretly are.
We got Pryor and we got Murphy. Let's round it out. What do you got?
So I got Dave Chappelle on it, right?
Okay.
But
safe call.
Yeah, it's just my fourth spot. It's tough for me because I'm tied between Bill Cosby.
Oh. Okay.
No, that like.
No, you're not going to get shamed here. You're not going to get shamed here. We're talking about the art. We're not talking about the person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I'm tied between Bill Cosby and Joan Rivers for my fourth spot.
Wow. What a why. I told you he was going to shake us to his court. By
the way,
River. I would love to know how much knowledge on Joan River you have. How much have you seen of Joan River? You're right. She belongs up there.
By the way, that just ended the Who's Black debate. I just want to be clear. Like that just ended that.
It ended the Who Loves Comedy more.
Yeah, he's a student of the game, Rasheed.
Like, to defend Joan Rivers taking that fourth spot, she did. Bill Cosby as a comedian is phenomenal.
Yes.
Joan Rivers did so much more for comedy than Bill Cosby did.
Like she was a pioneer in what she was able to do. Like,
first woman to get called over to the couch. Like
yes.
Yeah. No, I know you can't take that away.
It's weird that we don't talk about Ellen DeGeneres when we talk. You got to remember, it's Hello God, it's me, Ellen. That was a monster special.
To me, okay, but like, how many comedians have had a monster special? Like, how many have had
it's a smaller number than you're giving it credit for.
Can I give my reasons though why I have Joan Rivers on there?
Let's hear it.
And the only reason is because Chris, you brought up a great point. Impact of era, and no woman has been more impactful than Joan Rivers in comedy. Period. Sarah Silverman's close.
Lucille Ball might be up there though,
but she's not a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She was like a vaudevillian
producer and whatnot.
But like my thing with Joan Rivers too is like, how many people in the world don't even know she ever did stand-up?
Right. Yeah.
Like they think of her as just like the lady from E talking about
the mean lady.
Yeah.
Calling
like
fat.
They don't know that she was like one of the funniest people on planet Earth.
Yeah. She goes.
What do we think about Wanda Sykes? We don't put Wanda Sykes up there. Wanda Sykes has been touring nonstop for like
she's on the short list of she's on the short list of greatest comedians. But
really good.
I don't know if she hits that Mount Rushmore.
If you do a lady Mount Rushmore, she's on it.
She's on it. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
But like not sorry, I'm a man and there's been far more men in comedy than women, and like the ones I named did way more for comedy. Like Wanda Sykes was great, but she didn't make comedy different.
Right. Yeah,
she was just a great addition to comedy. Like she just one.
I'm surprised none of us mentioned, guys. It really blows my mind. None of us brought up Dick Gregory. He didn't make any of us.
Damn.
You know what? I probably would have brought up Paul Mooney before I brought up Dick Gregory.
Paul Mooney's my favorite. I didn't
Paul Mooney
but Dick Gregory was a very important person.
Yeah.
All right, let's buckshot the New York scene right now. This is going to be terrible, but for me,
if Michael Che's not on that list, you wildly.
For me right now, I got Big J, I got Dan Soder, I got Michelle Wolf, and I got Mark Norman. That's my young group, because Tal and the older guys, Bobby Kelly, and those guys, they're on their own. I wouldn't
even put them on the New York list.
Why not?
Oh, so just strictly resident in New York guys?
They're just too big for just New York at this point.
No. They're New York guys. I give them that.
I mean, they are, but like they've been around for so long, like the older guys, that it's hard to look at them as just New York. Like they're everywhere, but they have a New York.
Well, when you say New York and the older guys, Attell's there, Seinfeld's there, Keith Robinson's there, Colin Quinn is there, and who else is alive still? Bobby Kelly's in there. You can make an argument for Dane Cook. Yeah, you can make an argument for Ray Romano, sure. Yeah. No,
All right, how about this?
I like those guys. Go ahead.
37 and under. 37
Okay.
because Mark Norman
That's
just
hard,
turned
'cause I don't
36.
know. That's
Okay.
that's hard because I don't know.
All right, well then
some of
you
these
got
guys
what? Who
are.
do I swap out? I guess I swap Big J out for Sam Morril. I guess if I have to.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just thinking, like, are we counting people who, like, does John Mulaney count?
Yeah,
Because
John Mulaney counts for
he
sure.
lives in New York now. He came up
Yeah.
in New York, so
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah,
So
if you
then,
came up in New York, that's what we're talking.
so then, what about Hannibal? Does Hannibal count?
Yeah,
'Cause
Hannibal
he
counts.
started in Philly and then came up in New York.
Started in
Well,
Chicago.
I thought he came
was Chicago.
first.
Well, he started in Philly, went to Chicago, then went to New York, and New York is where he like skyrocketed.
Yeah, he could be on. He could be on there. So look at that Eric Andre kid. Well,
Yeah.
what the hell does he? What the hell does that kid do?
Yo, I feel like Eric Andre just popped up out of nowhere. Like no one knows where he came.
Yeah, but he doesn't. Does he not do stand up? He just does the show strictly.
He did stand up.
Fucking Zach Galifianakis, but he's not New York. He's L.A.
Yeah.
For my New
Zach
York
Galif-
scene,
Zach Galifianakis was funny, man. Zach Galifianakis was fucking funny.
for my New York scene, it's gonna be Michael Shea, Michelle Wolf,
Yeah, Michael Che.
Dan
Good one.
Soder.
Mhm.
Do we have to go? Do we have to adhere to that 37 rule?
37 and under. Yeah.
All right, then John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. And you
He's
got a lot. You know, you
37.
got the Stefano that you can put in there. Giannis Pappas you can throw in there.
Mhm.
Joe List.
Josh Johnson.
Yeah, Joe List.
Josh Johnson is close on my
Josh
list.
Johnson. Monroe
He-
Martin.
Monroe Martin is great.
Do we count Stavros Halkis?
Yes.
He's New
Boy,
York.
is he surprisingly funny?
Stavy
I'm
is so
really-
fucking funny.
Yes.
I'm really upset that we had to do that 37 and under thing because Jessica Kirsten would have definitely been on my list.
Jessica Kirsten's a great man. I'll tell you what, I just started going to New York every month for shows, and I was loving it, man. It's so great.
Yeah.
New York scene, they're accessible. I mean, when they come out, you can talk to them.
Yeah.
And I don't put Shane Gillis on that list. I think he's very funny. I thought it's Just for Laughs is very funny, but I think he's only been doing it a short enough time that I mean he could maybe be there at one point, but
Does he even have an album out? He doesn't even have an
I
album
don't
out
think
yet,
so.
does he?
I don't think so.
No.
Paul Verzi's another good New York comic that people sleep on. Ian Edwards is another good one.
Yeah, Joe Firestone. She's one I like a lot.
Yeah.
I think she's super duper
Rachel
funny.
Feinstein, I like her.
Yeah, Rachel Feinstein's very
Like,
good.
Hold
Bonnie
on.
McFarlane.
We are really fucking up because if we're talking about the New York stand-up scene, we can't forget Hassan Minhaj.
We can.
He's a piranha.
Because we don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
Chris,
Hassan
Jabuki.
Minhaj.
Oh yeah,
Jabuki.
Jabuki.
Wait, I'm not familiar.
Yes.
Oh, Chris, you would love Jabuki. Jabuki is maybe the funniest comedian that there is right now. Like I just don't think it. I just don't think there's anybody funnier than him, in my opinion. like both in stand-up and then like bits he does online too. Like he recently got banned from Twitter because he changed his name on Twitter to CNN and the CNN logo and tweeted out like a bunch of fucked up stuff. But like he's so funny and he's like 21 or 22 years old. Like he's just a dumb young kid and he's so fucking funny. It's unfair.
I got Jamar Neighbors on my list of people I'm going to be interviewing soon.
Aparna Nancherla is based out of New York now.
Yes,
I think.
she's very good. I can't
so
pronounce her
funny.
name to save my life, but man, she's good.
She's like one of my favorites.
Rashid, we're really into the New York scene, and you brought up a name out of who?
You don't know who Hassan Minhaj is?
Yeah, Patriot Act.
He doesn't do stand-up
I
anymore.
don't like him,
He does comedic TED.
He's got a Netflix show.
He doesn't do stand-up anymore. He does comedic TED Talks.
I thought he still does stand-up.
Him
and Hannah Gatsby.
He does, but it's not.
Hannah
Listen, if your microphone is a headset and not a mic you're holding, you're not doing stand-up comedy. You're doing an informative speech.
Yeah. You're trying to sell a product.
I don't know if I buy that. Bro.
Did you watch his?
We only have 5 left, guys. So if you're gonna order this,
did you watch his? Did you watch his? Yeah, the one where it's like a multimedia experience.
Dude, it was so dope, bro. Like it was.
No,
so fucking
it
good,
wasn't.
Man.
It was not. It was not good.
Well, there's the target audience then.
I thought it was. No, because like, dude, it was
boring.
It was stories. It was still like actual jokes. Like.
What do we think about Drew Mitchell? What do we think about Drew Mitchell predicting this kind of comedy?
Who?
Drew Mitchell did an HBO special without a crowd.
Yeah.
Oh, I never saw that.
Basically what the fuck we're doing now.
Another comedian based out of New York now. He's from Portland, but like an up and comer. He's not like super duper well known, but he writes for that Samantha Bee show that sucks real bad. But his name is
all right. Tell me how you really feel.
Muhannad El Shahiki.
Why are the names so hard? I'm a gentleman.
Yep.
I saw my name was Chmielewski and I changed it to Chimmer. That's just being a gentleman.
So, Chris, you may have heard this story actually. Muhannad is the comedian who was on a Greyhound bus, and ICE tried to pull him off the bus because he didn't have his like citizenship papers.
Really?
And he refused. Shit. He refused to get off the bus because he's like, he knew he didn't have to have them on him.
Right.
And it ended up being like a super duper long standoff with them with like ICE before they finally let him go.
What's his name again?
Muhannad El Shahiki.
That's a name.
I think it's Muhannad space ELSHIE.
Oh, you're a teacher. I get it. You teach people. I get it.
He was on Vulture's magazine writers panel for New York.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's hilarious. Like he will be huge in the next few years.
You think so?
I like seeing them when they're just on the come up.
Chimmer, it's MOHANAD ELSHIEKY. I was close.
I was pretty close too.
I really hate that whole like they're gonna be huge in the next few years discussion. I hate that because like half of the people that we think are gonna be huge, a lot of times it doesn't happen. And then a lot of the people that we didn't even know were there pop off out of nowhere and blow up.
Josh Johnson's going to do something. Josh Johnson.
Okay, I'll give you that. He will.
I mean, the LA scene is a good example of that right now, though. Like, if you would have talked to anybody 2 or 3 years ago, nobody would have guessed that, like, Ian Carmel, David Bory, like, those dudes were going to be like Kyle Kinane. Like, nobody would have guessed that those dudes were going to be, like, as big as they are.
Now, do we call them alt room comics? Is that what? If we have to put a label on it?
No, because alt room comics are about to be main room comics now.
Well, so the thing though is like it's cyclical. Like alt comedy has become the mainstream because that's what most people do now. Ever since, I don't know, have any of you guys watched the Comedians of Comedy tour, the special that Brian Posehn and friends did?
Yeah. I don't know if I saw it.
Okay, I highly suggest it. It came out in like I think 2009 or 2010, and is like, and it is the reason why stand-up is the way it is now. Like it's Brian Posehn, Zach Galifianakis,
Maria
Bamford, Patton Oswalt, and like just doing alt comedy, like doing like this weird subversive, non-traditional comedy, and then that became what's popular. And now like
Bamford's a monster.
And now like the more alternative stuff, like the stuff that you see less is the like traditional like stand up, set up, punchline, set up, punchline.
Yeah. So none of us said anything about Tig Notaro. I think going and doing your set with your shirt off when you had both your breasts taken away. That's funny. You get points.
Tig Notaro, I feel like she's in that same boat with like Ellen and them. Like, yeah, they're comics and they did good and they made their money and stuff, but like we're just not feeling them no more. We're just not.
Bro, I know. I can't take you serious because I'm still reeling over the fact that you said that Jerry Seinfeld is ass, bro.
Man, Jerry Seinfeld made a name for himself 20 years before he got his show. He kept his name, kept touring. He still doing specials.
Thanks to a writer that was much funnier than he was.
Yeah, who was that? Colin Quinn?
Whoa.
Larry David.
Oh, Larry David too. Yeah.
Hold on, but his stand-up by itself was good. But yeah,
his
stand-up made the shows pop.
To my justification, Mark Norman, Larry, who toured with him, came out and said like Jerry Seinfeld shouldn't be getting specials no more. He makes fun of Jerry comedy himself, and he is Jerry's opener. He will admit, like, why are we still look up? I'll send you the interview.
That's the old school way of thinking.
No, it's. I mean, Jerry Seinfeld is still popular because it's nostalgia. It's
right. But the way he works is that old school. you do it until it's dead, and then you do it some more, and you just don't recite. You just don't come up with it. I mean, he writes and writes and writes, but only like a fraction of what he writes gets back into his set.
Well,
He's
yeah,
still
because
doing
like
jokes from 20 years ago. Doesn't make him any
no,
less good at what he did.
well, I don't know if he's.
Yeah, you're
no,
right
he
on
threw
that,
away
Chris.
his jokes like 20 years ago.
It's about the laugh. I get that, and he do get laughs, but the level of comedy that he's bringing, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, all of us in this room right now, I feel like we are learning new generation of comedy. Therefore, we're being more innovative with the material that we're putting out.
I just think too, like, measuring success of a comedian based upon financial outcomes would mean that like Terry Fader and fucking the
Kevin
other
Hart.
Terry Fader and then the other ventriloquist guy should be 1 and 2 best comedians of all time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If you're talking just financials, Terry Fader and Jeff Dunham have made more money in comedy than any God. Terry Fader is the guy who won the first season of America's Got Talent.
Oh, okay.
But like he has like Vegas residencies and makes like multi-million-dollars a year living in Las Vegas doing 1 show a day.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going front, bro. I would never want to live there. I don't know why, but I feel like I would hate that.
But like I'm just saying, like financial should not have anything to do with it. Like,
I was thinking notoriety and name access. But Gary Owen is a guy who's funny as shit, black fella, and he lived the life that I wanted to live. All holding deals, just one after another. Just don't do anything. Don't work with anybody. Here's $350,000 to sit still. I would love that life. If anybody important ever sees this holding deal, come on.
You'll do it for $50.
I'll do it just so my wife can say I'm employed gainfully.
I mean, you just gotta look at how innovative all these comedians are being. The top 2 innovative comedians I think around right now is Sam Morril and Mark Norman. It has to be.
Well, are you saying that because they did their own specials and they took it on their own? Is that why?
No, it's not that. It's just personally, like, when you see how awkward these guys are just in person and on the podcast.
They are awkward,
right?
Shit.
But then you look at the talent that they bring to stage and the joke writing, the fact that, they don't go off script for real. They don't address heckler. They literally go, like, straight regurgitating what they wrote. But it's still so good. And the innovativeness that they're bringing and the ability that they have. Rashid, I know you're about to say something about, like, earlier, but this is a different story.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, because it's definitely a different story. You'll understand. But anyway, the fact that they're going to where the line is and figuring out creative ways, like Mark Norman said, people will automatically laugh right now. They're like, school shootings, but nobody's really addressing or coming out with creative ways to bring it to school shootings. You get what I'm saying?
Kind of. No, I get it. I don't feel like those guys are set up punchline tag. I mean, I don't know if they're doing anything innovative other than putting the onus on themselves to get themselves popular.
I think they're great, but like I also don't think that like their lack of personality off stage means that they're incredible at what they do. Like most comedians, especially people who are like more alternative in comedy, they fit that bill. Like I am like I would say most of us are like not the easiest person to like have a discussion with or like interact with outside of a comedy setting.
Because of the ADD and the bipolar 1 and the schizophrenia? What?
I would say it's more just like
I
was going to say, I think it's just more of like just, anxiety and things like that.
Yeah, but you're still able to make eye contact. And like, look, Sam Morril does his whole set, arms folded, like just like just like that. Like he's that nervous. And Mark Norman can't even make eye contact.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those are just like, those are character bits. Like those are like it's the reason why I'm kind of a bigger asshole on stage, because like I think it's funny. Like I think it's really funny to like when people bring me up, they always talk about how nice I am or how I'm their good friend or like something like that. Like it's some sort of positive thing about me. And then I get up there and I'm wearing like slacks and a cardigan. And sometimes I'm wearing like a hat that looks like a little boy will wear, and I'm wearing Vans. Like I look like a safe, nice like soft person.
And
And
you
then I
start
get
punching
up
him in
and
the face.
and then I get up and I'm like I berate the audience sometimes. I will roast
Isn't that the
people.
best? Don't you miss that
Like
right now?
I do, but
You
I'm
hate
just
I
saying
people.
like
miss yelling at the audience.
but I'm just saying that like I just think that, I don't know if those are sincere. Like, you know, like if you're that anxiety ridden that like you cross your arms like this and just like hold the mic like this the whole time and like that's how you do your stand up, that's probably a character bit you figured out. Like that's something that you did one night and like people laughed at your jokes more because you did it that way. So then you just kept doing it.
That's a good point.
It's like the same people who like get on stage and they suddenly take on like a certain affectation or they start to like stutter or stammer. And it's like, it could be nerves or it could just be like they've found a character that they enjoy doing. Like they enjoy being.
Russell Austin shout out. Put it in the air. Russell Austin, if you're watching, we're talking about you.
There's some shit that like even with some of my favorites, I can see that being a thing. Like with Hannibal Buress, I can tell I'm like, dude, there's no way that that's really you off stage, bro. Like the way that he says some of his jokes and the way he performs some of them.
Even just
like
the way like
talks.
think of the way Hannibal stands. Like even like we're talking like he leans back and like his like the mic is like super loose. Like he doesn't like hold it like tight. It's like very he like moves it around a bunch and it's very like floppy when he moves it and stuff. Like
like
just
he
like
and the way he talks, he sounds like a jazz player almost. Like
yeah,
just like his speech patterns. I'm like, bro, no one really talks like that. You're doing this for this.
Yeah, it's like I mean, Zach Galifianakis was kind of one of the first comedians I can think of that did stuff like that. That it was like he would like pause for an extended period of time to make the audience uncomfortable, and then they would start giggling, and then he'd hit the punchline, and they'd laugh super hard.
Right.
Was it Gerard Carmichael, the one that said acting's easy, and then he points to somebody off stage and starts yelling at him? He gets the whole crowd uncomfortable. He said, "See, acting's easy." I think it was Gerard Carmichael. It was very funny.
Yeah,
it's an HBO special.
Yeah.
So Chris, go ahead. I was going to go to a different point, but if you
no, go ahead.
I want you to chime in.
So look, here's the thing that me and Rashid is talking about, and please feel free to chime in, right? So long story short, the Comedy Cellar lady Esty was saying one of the traits that she looked for when auditioning comedians is whatever is like even if you have a bad set, if you recognize in yourself bomb, right? There's some comedians that bomb and still keep going with their set, and don't address the audience, right?
I love when you talk, Esty. Keep going.
So I'm like, Rashid, bro, that's like one of the things that I personally feel like you should work on, you know, like in this stage in the game, go off script a little bit, attack the crowd, or, you know, at least make fun of yourself, something to let them know that you recognize that right now might not be going the best for you. But then I just said something about Sam Morril and them regurgitating their material, you know, word for word from what they're writing. And he's like, whoa, why is it okay when they do it when I can't do it? But Rashid, the difference is Sam Morril and them is still like road comics. And by the time I see their work or we see their work, they got that shit so down pat that they already worked out the kinks. Where I personally feel like me and you don't have our sets to that point. You know,
and also the other difference is you got past the cellar. You two are still
I'm not talking about that. Like I'm not talking about like, you know, who is doing what, but I'm talking about like just the method of like what
Josh the plastic killing me.
I'm so sorry about that. I was just
we gotta all chip in and get him like a metal reusable water bottle.
He chews on the cap. Chris, you don't know what I'm dealing with here. He chews on the caps, and then the rest of the time he's playing with it. What did he do, Rashid? What did he do?
Rubbing tags on
shorts. Tags on clothes for some reason. The boy's got issues.
I'm gonna get him a
help.
silent fidget cube. Like I'm just
he's
getting him
very fidgety.
Yeah.
I bet you got that a lot in school.
Me too. I've been playing with this mic for like the whole show.
Can we please get on topic so we?
You were doing technical examples, so we let it go.
What I was talking about was like more just like the method of it, like just going through your shit, just doing it, like because like my theory is to this day, and I was taught this by other people, was like, okay, cool, if you have a set, if that joke didn't hit them, fuck it, the next one will, like, or maybe it won't, but like don't let that throw you off and fuck you up from doing what you're doing.
But the issue with that, Rashid, is that in order to gauge the success of your joke, the audience needs to be on your side. And if you tell a joke and it falls flat and then you just keep going, the audience gets more and more of like a what is this guy doing mentality. So you have to find a way to get them on your side. So like I'm not gonna like pretend that this isn't what I do. The easiest crutch in the world, if you haven't like been able, like when I open at shows and I haven't had time to like read the audience and stuff, my go-to to them not laughing is I always pick a single person. Like I pick one person in the audience and I look at them and I pull the mic away. I keep it close enough that they can hear me. Like it gets projected. And I go, you knew there was a comedy show tonight, right? And then like
do that before actually.
Yeah, and then like everybody laughs, and then I go, no, seriously, like you guys are acting like we like rushed you with this. Like this isn't like a flash mob. Like you bought tickets, you walked in the door, you saw the sign, everyone knows comedy is happening. Let's fucking go. And
actually, I've seen you. You did that at Campbell Farms. You did that. Actually, yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
but that's like my cheat code for like if I don't know, if I'm opening up the show and I can't like gauge the audience off of what I'm seeing other people get, my go-to to win them over to my side is to make that specific joke, and it does pretty well every single time I do it, and people laugh at it, and then they laugh at my set moving forward.
My biggest thing is just getting them to shut the fuck up. So I did a thing at Rashid's thing where I said, if you all be quiet and I don't make you laugh, I'll buy you a drink. And so they all shut the fuck up, and then I make them laugh. And at the end, I'm like, I don't want anybody to drink. I looked around, none of you, not one.
I had something similar. Like, I mean, my thing is I don't want to give it away. This is a good one. Like,
Rashid, I promise you, nobody is going to steal it.
Make fun of you, because no one's going to steal your shit.
I'm not talking about stealing it, dickhead. I'm just talking about like if someone watches this and then like sees me at a show and I do it, I'm like,
if it's funny, you're gonna laugh twice.
That doesn't make it not work.
How much traveling are you thinking you're going to do, and how many people you think watching this? No, I'm being honest, bro.
They've been doing this all day, Chris. All day. Go on, get it out of your system.
That's all I'm asking, bro. That's all I'm asking. It's because like you're trying to be conservative, as if you're in a stage of your career where you could really be hesitant. Oh, they're gonna steal my material. Really?
Motherfucker, did I literally just not say it's not about people stealing? It's just that I just don't want to say it now because I don't like. All right, guys, fuck it. Here's my thing. So if somebody's like going, like if I'm going up and people are just talking or whatever, or it's like somebody like talking in the middle of my set, I'll just be like, hey, dude, like, what's your name? And they'd be like, oh, my name is so-and-so. I was like, oh, all right, cool. No, hey, can somebody get him a drink? I told somebody early in the beginning of the night, I'd buy the dude with the smallest dick of beer. So, and then I just move on from there.
Josh, that was 20 minutes
Here we fucking go, bro. Here we fucking
crowd
go,
work.
bro.
It was one sentence crowd work, and somehow he made it 20 minutes long. I love you, but shorten it. Cut the fat off.
I don't usually do it that fucking long. I was explaining the situation. Like, I've only done it once.
Don't be so sensitive. Fuck.
Nah, bro. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you're right, Josh. He looks tragic when it's not going his way. You really got to loosen it up.
But like at the stage we are at, we just have to find what works for us. Like for me, what works to get people to shut up is like escalation. So like if they're like talking, I'll be like, hey, enough. Like I promise you want to hear this. And then I'll go into my joke. And then if they don't shut up, like I gradually escalate to get meaner and meaner until until were you guys at Comic the one night where there was a table of like white ladies that were like heckling, and I was like addressing them, and they left in the middle of my set because I was being mean to them. And then somebody goes, they were at a funeral earlier today, and I said, oh, it's a shame it wasn't any of theirs.
Oh.
And like it killed in the room. but like that's the kind of stuff that I like to do. Like,
I know Bill hates it. But like sitting down at the table of talkers is so much fun.
Yeah.
And I know he hates it because he prefer that we just do our bits and whatnot. But man, if I could get a table of people talking, I can go sit down with them and fucking yell at them to their face. That's a good time.
Yeah, but like you just gotta find like what works for you, and like going back to what I was saying earlier and like criticism of George Carlin is that like the people like, you know, Mark Norman and stuff like that, like people who just go up and are reciting their material, you're not getting a unique experience from that. Like,
I wonder if they're scared that if they go off book, it won't be as funny. But if you're that talented, off book is just off book. Shouldn't be a
but that's a real.
Well,
it's just
it's a comfort level though. Like some people are just not comfortable doing it, and some like Richard Lewis is one of the funniest comedians that ever lived. That dude I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen any of like his specials or anything, but he writes his set list on like butcher paper, like the giant rolls that they have at butcher shops that are like this big.
Yeah.
And he rolls it out and he writes a set on it, and then he tapes it at the front of the stage, and it goes from one end of the stage to the other.
That's crazy. I put my shit out on the floor.
Like that's how like some people do it. Like it's definitely different per person, and some people like George Carlin is one that famously did it, and Louis was that way too, where if they went off the cuff, they ran the risk or had the fear that they were going to forget what was next in the chronology of their set. So that's why, like, if you go back and watch a lot of like their sets, when the audience is laughing, they're just repeating the last punchline until the audience stops laughing, and then they go into the next thing. And that's just how like scripted minded people work. Whereas like,
what do you guys miss the most? I miss the after where they tell me I'm good. They all come up and say good job. I miss that part. I don't know how much I care about the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't know. People don't usually come up and talk to me after my sets.
Chris, I walk you to your car every time.
I know, but you're the only one.
For protection.
And I think it's just you're afraid of what would happen to me in Lewisburg.
What do you miss, Rashid?
I miss like the actual like the mechanics of it. Like standing on a stage, holding a microphone, talking, and just like figuring out, okay, I wrote this earlier, what works, what doesn't, and
I miss the energy. I miss the best way I can describe it is it feels like those Tesla coils that you had in like middle school science class where like you touch it and the electricity goes to your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
That feeling. Like there's no other way to describe it. That's what I miss. I miss the feeling of like the tangible energy in the room, like during a set.
Like I miss going first and setting the tone. I know everybody thinks I do. I go first so I can leave. No, that's not why I do it. I do it because I have a short health window, for one thing. I mean, I don't know how many times you guys have been next to me, and I did a good set. I'm not scared at all. My hand's shaking like a goddamn leaf. Or I'm making Kim take my fucking pulse because it's going off the charts, and I haven't done anything. Yeah, so I love this because this is non-exhausting. I just turn on the computer and I'm good. With that, I gotta drive all the way there. I gotta keep my legs from shaking. If my legs shake now, nobody should see. If it shakes on stage, that stool moves.
I personally think the thing that I miss the most, like it's a lot of things obviously I miss, but it's just like the comedians. You know what I'm saying? Like the perspective, because sort of the hang, but more like I'm the type of person I get amazed like when I see angles people take on the joke or the perspective. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like Chris, when you talk about your dad, you know, when the activities that y'all did, and you know it's a fucked up thing, but how you play it, you like, damn, that's really good. You know, Chim, when you over here, you talking about like your fucking health, but how you like connected with the tattoos and shit, my brain go like, that's interesting. And same thing with you, Rashid. Like when you just connect these things about like your family or whatever to like violent attacks, but you do it in such a playful manner. I'm like, how did he pull that off? That's just the thing I miss the most, just seeing how people work. You know?
God damn, that was elegant.
Thank you.
I almost feel like we should end with that. Mainly because we've been going for 2 hours.
Oh, thank you.
You got anything else, Rashid?
No.
You got anything else, Joshua? After that eloquent. Is it eloquent? It'll be eloquent in this case, I think.
Could be both.
Yeah,
Both are.
I like to say, all y'all smell like porta potty water, and y'all can lick the backside of my balls. Let that be known.
Oh, all right. Well, that's nice.
This ain't got shit to do with any of y'all, but I hope that bitch in New York that tried to call the cops on that dude never get your dog back.
Yeah, they should take away your dog.
They did.
She never gets your dog back.
They took
Take
her
it to a
dog
farm where it can run free.
Yeah, and play with all the black people at once.
away.
Chris
We didn't
Williams.
roast each other and nothing.
Chris Williams, tell us again your two podcasts.
So I've got an upcoming one called White Men Can't Bump with previous guest on your show, Bill Russum.
Can't fucking wait.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get that one.
I just want to see the graphics.
The graphics.
I remember the Buddha Boys graphics. I can't wait to see these.
The graphic for this is gonna be awesome.
He played me a sneak peek of the intro.
Yeah.
So the intro is good.
The intro is very, very fucking good. It's like in my head constantly.
Bill came in full regalia. Yeah, the Brooklyn area, the Mars Blackman look going on.
Hell yeah.
And what's that? What's the gaming show?
The other one is called Up and Up. UPNUP comes out every Friday, where we normally just talk about any gaming news, what we've been playing, and we usually do some sort of fun, like conceptual game week to week.
Have you carried over, if you don't mind me asking, have you carried over a lot of the Buddha Boys fans to
some of
projects?
Some of them, the ones that are into gaming, have come over. It's more of a niche subject, so right. I definitely understand there being some amount of a drop off, but some of the audience is translated.
You had a real good fan base. I hope they follow you around.
Yeah.
Josh, are you working on anything? Have you got anything besides the Chimmer Chatter podcast to promote?
No, not right now, bro. I just got my new comedy book, so can't wait
till you fill it up. If you want to fill up in 5 seconds, just ask Rashid to write you a joke. Rashid, have you got anything besides Chimmer Chatter you'd like to promote?
No, man, I'm just sitting in here working.
All right,
Rashid, come on, be happy, bro.
Come on, man. Yeah, seriously, can't end the note with you looking sad. Take a sip of that peach shit.
Shut the fuck up and end the show. Can we just do that? It's like almost 1:30 in the morning.
This has been Chimmer Chatter, episode 6, on behalf of my co-hosts, Rashid Wesley Jr., Josh Dwight, and our special guest, Chris Williams. Have a good week.
Yeah, Chris the boy, my fucking mentor.